returning champions back to go head-to-head with Gravitas, who are looking very damn good at the moment here in the DoorDash LCO. Are they going to be able to get their 4th W on the board? Can they serve up yet another L to Pentanet, who aren't going as expected? You know, they wanted the undefeated split, and they're fair way away from that now. So, you know, 2 Ls already. Are they going to have a 3rd, or will they be able to pick up the pieces and put it all back together again? Because that is what you would expect from a championship caliber team. However, Gravitas looking pretty good. Let's talk Pentanet first, though. So, Pentanet, you guys know them, you guys love them. Skimmy, tell me why these 5 gentlemen are so handsome.
Well, charismatic, first of all, and at the end of the day, gets people interested, right? Apart from the characteristics of the players, you know, they've got good hair, and just make sure that you keep an eye on their cameras as opposed to their gameplay, because sometimes their gameplay can be a little bit sloppy, but that's to be expected. Coming back from MSI, they've decided to try and change things up a little bit, learn some things, right? A much longer split, 9 weeks as opposed to 5 weeks off split 1. Small chance for experimentation, and whilst that's been at times a little bit disappointing for the end product, no doubt they've still got those core fundamentals at their heart that they've been willing to showcase here. So you look at the same players like Predif, who has definitely been not shy to mince words in his interviews, but still when it comes to the team fights is able to get the job done as required of him. But I look at the likes of Chaz and Parb, the ones that continue to try and play these like hard engage initiation and just be creative with it, you know, dazzle and impress with some of the flair that they can output. So I look at this matchup and think that, you know, whilst there are similarities between them and Gravitas with like aggression and objective control, I think they fundamentally are far better at farming and hitting the side lanes.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see, you know, more from Pentanet. You know, they said that they've changed the game plan. They're obviously pushing those limits early game, trying to be a bit more aggressive and find something that works for them. But now let's have a quick chat about Gravitas as well. We've thoroughly enjoyed what we've seen from them. Very entertaining matches straight out of the gates in this first round robin. And to close it off, wouldn't it be a bit of a fairy tale, Jubes, for them to get a W against Pentanet?
It'd be a fairy tale, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities, right? Pentanet coming off that loss, like we said. You know, Safa making an argument for being one of the most improved players in the league this split, at least when he finds his niche, when he gets his hands on the champs that he loves and knows. Akano, I think he just offers that dynamic that Gravitas were missing, right? That aggression, not afraid to put himself behind to get Kyose ahead. And then Kyose, obviously no introduction last week, put on an absolute mid lane clinic, as we're going to get a couple of replays coming out from this game. I don't know how many kills they'd end up on the LeBlanc, but for me, and I spoke to him actually in the interview, I said, where have you been hiding your champion pool? Because we thought it was like Ari and a few other things, but he's actually just he's popped out the LeBlanc, and then he's had an absolute blinder. So again, this Gravitas team are just full of surprises, and they're improving week on week on week. Now, that's scary when you're a team, or any team that comes up against Gravitas, because they play the game with almost like a reckless abandon, where they're happy to just take one-for-one trades. They're happy to turn the games into a little bit of chaos. And then, you know, all of a sudden, the game's a little bit chaotic. You press tap, you're like, oh, wait, we're down 3 or 4 kills. Come to the Dragon fight, down a few items. Then you never know. Then you never know.
Someone that does know, though, and can also get really good insight for us is Nat, because she has the players at her fingertips. You know, she can manipulate them and ask them all the kinds of questions and get out all the dangerous secret info for the game. Maybe don't do that, Nat.
I could, but I don't. You know, I just wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to help out anyone. You know? Yeah.
Okay. Well, who are you playing like a fiddle for the pregame?
I guess I'll be playing like a fiddle. Floppy and Chaz, thank you both so much for joining me. Floppy, I believe this is the first time we've ever talked to you. How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit nervous before the game, but like overall, I'd say I'm, you know, it's not as bad as the first couple of weeks, but I'm, you know, still nervous, but like really, really excited. I just really want to get the game underway.
I love it. That's so great to hear. I do want to know what it feels like to be on the starting roster. We saw you in Split 1 for a few games, but now in Split 2 you're on the starting roster. We've seen you absolutely pop off. So how does that feel?
I mean, for me, like I never really thought I'd be playing LCO, so like just being able to play consistently just feels really, really good. But I feel like I really haven't proven myself yet, so there's still, you know, 2 round robins to go, so like I really want to I guess make my mark on the LCO, So yeah, hopefully that can start today.
What are some of your expectations or hopes going into the next round robin?
I would say just constant improvement for Gravitas. Like I think since Split 1, Gravitas has just become like much better as a team. Like I think the current 5 players are constantly improving. We're getting, well, our understanding of macro is constantly improving as well. Expectations, like I don't want to like say we're just gonna destroy everyone. That's not realistic. I think right now the goal is just to make playoffs, but I do think teams are slowly waking up to the fact that Gravitas isn't a bottom 2 team anymore. Like we're starting to get pretty decent.
I can definitely agree with that one. Chaz, would you agree as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to say like one thing is that you said you haven't made your mark on the LCO just yet, and I've got to disagree because my support was actually the one supposed to be interviewing with you today, but he was scared shitless about coming on the same interview with you. So that's why I'm here, because I'm not a scaredy cat apparently. But yeah, you definitely left your mark on him. He's been watching some of your games and he is terrified. But yeah,
Well, there you go, Floppy.
Gravitas is 3-3 right now. Definitely not what I expected coming into Split 2, so that's awesome. They've had some pretty impressive games. So yeah, they're definitely turning things around, and yeah, it's looking like they're a much better team this split. So that's good for you guys.
What about you, Chaz, over at Pentanet? How is the team feeling down there, especially off the unfortunate loss that you guys had last week? What have you been looking back on and working on?
We're just working on draft for the most part, trying to figure out stuff that suits us. I think the game against Chiefs had to be like a 10% win game from the draft. That was just abysmal. So we're just trying to figure out what's good for us and what's like how we fit that into what's power picks and different stuff like that. So our top side has been really working on expanding our champ pools a bit more and getting more comfortable with the stronger champions, so we can not have a blower of a game like that one.
Does that mean we're going to see more comfort picks for you guys or more meta picks?
Both. We've got more comfort picks that we've been practicing, which we've been working out as more like response things instead of just like picking champions in random spots. We've been working more to do with like combos. So we've, like me and Jackson, me and Pablo have been making a lot of combos that we can pick mid jungle, as well as I guess just practicing the stronger champs, because it is a new patch now, so there's a lot of champs that are like the priorities change a little bit. So there's been a couple of champs like Nocturne's probably gone from one of the top champions to maybe the top champion. So yeah, we're just trying to figure out that stuff for the most part.
I look forward to seeing how this patch does affect both teams, but I want to ask one last question before I do let you go, and I'll start with you, Chaz. Is which game has been your favorite so far of this split?
I see the peace game against Gravitas and the peace game against Mammoth were absolute bangers. Like I don't know. I don't really care about watching other teams that much. I watch to like learn what they're doing and try to give myself an advantage, I guess, coming into like future matchups against them. But those games are like so entertaining. Like I had no idea who was gonna win any of those games. Like both teams, in my opinion, lost the game about 100 different times over. So it was absolutely hilarious to watch that. Those are my favorite. For both of those games were too good, absolutely too good. Like those guys need their own like TV show, whatever they're doing. Those peace games, like holy crap, that was ridiculous. They're banger after banger.
Yeah, maybe we could do a side piece segment and just try and turn it into like an 80s sitcom or something like that, just of those games.
I would
but
pay
Floppy,
to watch that. It was crazy.
Floppy, what about you? Which one would you say is your favorite?
Look, I was tossing up between the same one, Peace vs Gravitas, like the 50-minute banger, but also, I mean, I think Legacy vs Gravitas as well. I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased towards my own team, but I think like it was the first game of the split. It was the first win that I've ever had, but I think the Peace one probably just overtakes it just because it was slightly longer. I think we threw way harder in that game. And re-watching the game, like I knew we were going to win, but it was still making me nervous watch it. Like I felt so bad for our coaches having to go through that for 50 minutes. So I'm going to go with the peace one.
I love it. Thank you both so much for the insight and for joining me. But good luck with the game today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, you're saying that they're going to be paying to watch the Peace 80s sitcom, but you could get all that entertainment for free here on the DoorDash LCO. So I'm just pointing that out. You know, everyone that's watching, you're going to be blessed with more entertaining matches the more you watch. So make sure you fill those seats with your bums, because it's going to be solid League of Legends action here. And let's have a quick look at the predictions as well before we do get into the old Champ Select. Are we going to see anyone going for the underdogs? Are we going to see anyone going for Gravitas? Are we going to see Twitch chat going for Gravitas? Is it going to happen? The predictions aren't open yet, so
It
could still happen. Could still happen. But at the moment, everyone on the Pentanet bandwagon. Of course, it is a pretty safe prediction to go for there. Skimmy, you haven't had too much of a say here in the pre-game. Tell me why.
Yeah, I just said it before. I guess when we're doing a profile of the team, I just think at Pentanet, when it comes to farming and just identifying like how to stay in the mix of things, they're really, really good at stabilizing. Right, if the early game goes completely against them, they know how to bring it back, slow down the tempo. 15, 20 minutes onwards, they've got side lanes under the control, maybe stolen away a dragon or so to deny any soul point, blowing wide open the game, and then suddenly hit a break point and say, "Cool, we've got our 2 items. We're happy to fight right now." So I think when it comes to the trap that some teams fall into, it's like we've got a bit of a lead. We need to group up as 5. We have to just hard force fights. Not to say that Gravitas will do that, but I say they're more likely in comparison to Pentanet to fall into that trap.
Very true, very true. Now, we did hear from Chaz that they are going to swing back towards some more meta and comfort champs. Do you think we might see, you know, something like a Victor back in that mid lane, or something a bit more normal? We've seen him on a couple of different champs in drafts over the last couple of weeks. Nat, what are you expecting coming out from the big Chazman?
I have absolutely no idea what to expect, honestly. He is someone that could say one thing and then they get in the draft and they're like, actually, this angle is a better one. I think Pentanet just do have that wider champion pool, so it is a lot easier for them to sway whichever way the draft ends up going.
Yeah, I can definitely see that as a realm of possibility. What about you, Jubes? Are you expecting any curveballs?
No, I think that was just an interview, a Chaz interview, right? Where he says stuff and it sounds good and it sounds nice on paper, but then they said they were working on all this stuff. Pabu tweets a picture of his match history and it's literally 20 games of Diana. He's talking about diversifying his champion pool and literally 20 games Diana, dude. So
yeah.
I don't know who you're kidding and who you think you're kidding, but I got notification bells on.
Okay, well, noti's on, game's ready, Champ Select's live. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Gravitas Pentanet coming at you. Game 3 is live now.
Certainly is, Mac, and let's figure out what it actually looks like, because it's Pentanet in a situation 4-2 with Gravitas hot on their heels, a line you probably wouldn't have imagined us saying anytime soon, but they've done it, Jubes. They're here today to fight, and they've had some pretty strong wins to deserve to be here.
Well, if they win this game, Skimmy, just to throw a spanner in the, or what is it, a wrench in the works, a spanner in the works,
That's
whatever,
the one.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not really a mechanic or anything like that. So my main point is that if Gravitas do win this game, they're actually on top of Pentanet. So the MSI representatives do fall behind Gravitas. So a lot on the line in this game. A lot to be excited about, a lot to be nervous about. First 3 bans coming across, Karma, Gwen, Camille. These are pretty much exclusively targeted at Safa. You know, barring maybe the Karma, because that's a Kyosei thing.
Yeah.
But it does speak wonders about how we were saying, you know, Safa's arguably their most improved player.
Yeah, and he's been, for the most part, the last few games, been playing Camille pretty much regardless of the matchup. He's played Elise in top lane as well, but he's played an Akali too, but he's very much an advocate for just being the carry in the side lane and empowering them for the pretty much the point I was mentioning before, right, of sticking in it with the team fight, with the macro sense aspect too. And no surprises, once again, these double enchanters get banned away. So Kyosei, no doubt, not going to be too happy about that one. But as much as we talk about him loving the enchanters, he's definitely flexed the last few games, right? The Ahri, Lissandra, as well as the LeBlanc, and there it is again.
That's blind though. Like what? Blind pick LeBlanc can get punished. Like there's quite a few options open for Chaz, and Chaz is one of those players that, again, we do, I guess, refer to him as having a deep champion pool. So there's quite a few things he could play here.
Yep.
You know, traditionally, like Lucian's still available as well. Thresh being picked up, though. So maybe the champion ocean is so deep of Chaz. Oh, Kalista instead.
Callista's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely gives you a lot of early game tempo to try and dominate your laning phase, and you compare it with pretty much anything, and you've got yourself a very strong setup. Fresh.
Well, you already know this draft is for Pentanet at least is like we're winning lane.
Oh.
We're winning lane. We're winning first 10 minutes.
And that's what you
taking
want.
2 dragons.
That's exactly what you want after you were so critical of Praetor saying, yeah, look, you know, these lanes suck, yada, yada, yada. If he's not been winning lane, then he needs to win it with this draft, and especially when you got the fresh for the delivery system as well. A lot of skirmishing potential, and yeah, just outright denial of any pick that Gravitas are hunting for.
But if there's any lane where you need to really punish to make a statement, I think it is the Thomas Shen floppy lane. Now, they do a fantastic job for what Gravitas need as a team, but in terms of winning their lanes, Gravitas, the bot lane in particular, don't really do that. They do enough to keep their head above water, whilst majority of the resources go towards mid and top. And I think that's a fair statement. And when you're playing weak side, again, all your job is to do is to lose gracefully. But if you talk about Gravitas bot lane and winning lane, it's not a synonymous word. So I think Praedeath and Decoy really need to make that statement.
Certainly do. As welcome back, Pabu. No longer going to have your hair chromed out. He's back in the building, and we do get to see all of him.
That's good, because I was getting a bit concerned. I thought maybe half of his head was gone.
Yeah, he's got away from the sponsored hairstyle. No Pentanet logo on his head anymore.
What do you want? Give me the sponsor. I want it all.
Shave a Pentanet logo into my head. That's the new style wave.
That's what you call a company man.
Absolutely.
That's when you know you're a company man.
Certainly is, mate. Worth noting that it is going to be the Aatrox on the side of Gravitas. We've only seen it once, and it was from that very memorable play that Safa made when the minions entered the game, because he was literally a raid boss. So if you date your mind back to week 1 and how cool that was, might get to see that in action once again. But second rotation to bans now. The Gnar is going to be denied away from Biopanther, an old faithful, an old trusty, as well as the Ziggs, which we've only seen once. It was played by Chaz in the mid lane, but definitely could have been considered again.
Yeah, it's a respect ban. Maybe the worst game Chaz has played all year too, so surprised that ban came on through. But yeah, this was going to be my question. It's like, what do they pick to pair the Varus bot lane? Now, Thresh is actually a soft counter into the Braum. So it's interesting that they've opted in for Braum. Again, potentially they just like it into the Xin Zhao. However, it almost feels like they're double countered, or they're going to have a really rough time bot, especially with this Xin Zhao. And I mean, if Pentanet didn't say to you that we're going to win early game already, they've just opted in for the Renekton. So it's almost dangerous, right? Like double-edged sword. They have all the tools to win the early game so far, okay, with a little bit of late game insurance policy into the LeBlanc. I mean, they have all the tools to win the early game, and then if all else fails, they can rely on Kassadin 16 now. So I think
wow,
Pentanet have really just thrown a spanner in the works with this Kassadin pick. But in saying all of that, this is like your traditional soft counter into LeBlanc, because eventually when you get level 6, like you take over the lane, but pre-6, there's obviously a lot you can die to, right?
Yeah.
LeBlanc can really manipulate the lane so that there is a lot of gank threat.
Well, they've just basically laid down the gauntlet, right? We've only had one Renekton all split long. Rusty was asking for it, and it's finally here. It's being played here by Panther. And if you're looking at the history of Chaz as an individual, he's played a fair bit of Kassadin in his time. No doubt looking to try and showcase and dust that one off and say, what can we do this time? So definitely a bit of a bridge between early, mid, and the late game 16. So get your clocks ready. But on the side of Gravitas, they've got themselves a Rek'Sai.
Yeah, Rek'Sai. It is something that was like, I guess it climbed in win rate in solo queue, just because Prowler's Claw was really efficient. Like, it gives you that little bit of mobility that you need, because often Rek'Sai gets kited. So if you have that extra dash, that extra knock up, so you don't have to burn your tunnel and you can actually use your tunnel out. Yeah, people kind of figured it out, and Rek'Sai kind of rose in popularity a little bit. Definitely has problems in a competitive setting, like where you just completely fall off a cliff, particularly because you do go a lethality route, and you know, as soon as people start picking up steel plates or tabis, even if you want to call it that, then you run into a lot of problems. So again, Akano's just really made his name as like the player that is going to just gank your lane, no matter what. Like when you verse Gravitas, that guy is just going to pick something that can just put an unrelenting amount of pressure on you, and he's either going to have like 5 kills and be really far ahead, or his lanes will, or he's going to be like 3 levels down. And I think this is what, you know, Gravitas' comp does, and both comps really, right? They're both quite snowbally in the same sense. Like, you get the bot lane ahead for Floppy and Thomas Shen. You know, there's not much way back into the game for Decoy and Praedeath.
Yep.
Rek'Sai and Xin Zhao honestly want to do the exact same thing, And for me, the big pivot point or turning point is going to be, can Kyosei and Akano get a lead? If they are able to do that and then influence side lanes, Pentanet are going to be in a little bit of trouble. Whereas like if Pabu can just get Kassadin to level 6, but also get Praedyth and Decoy a lead, then it's going to be a tough ask for Gravitas.
Yeah, we saw what Kyosei was able to do last week, where he got a monumental lead on that LeBlanc and was able to roam and pretty much delete any champion in any lane, for that matter of fact. As we jump into this one, the third game of the night, we do have the coach from Gravitas and Velexis on standby. And mate, you know, 3 wins so far. That's as many as you got in Split 1. How does that feel?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Hopefully we get a lot more coming into Split 2. But yeah, it's good to be able to already in week 3 be 3-3. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, what a storyline to say that you're up against Pentanet, and if you win with them today, you know, as far as numbers are concerned, you're going to be tied.
Yeah, that's pretty insane to think about for sure. But yeah, still a long road ahead. Like, we're only week 4 out of what, like 9 or something? So
That's the one, yeah. Plenty of games left, right? Super Week is upon us, so plenty of action to dive deep into. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about this new patch, right? 11-13. We've heard a few thoughts from some of the other coaches as to how it's disrupted things. Much different in your camp?
There is. We actually feel like this patch is really good for us. There's a lot of split push potential with like the new items, Hullbreaker and such like that. So I don't want to release too much, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that we've been looking to do in scrims to really spice up certain matchups against certain teams that we really wanted to get the dub against, like Chiefs. I think Chiefs are right now like literally like miles above everybody, so we really want to beat them next time.
Yeah, no doubt, and obviously they're looking pretty good, as you said. Coming up against Pentanet then, you've got a few interesting picks. We've seen the return of Safa on the Aatrox, the fact that Kyosei once again gets the little Blanc, but talk to me about Akano. You know, he's coming to this roster, definitely looking pretty comfortable on it, and a Rek'Sai champion to try and go and do battle with Pabu here.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, one thing about Pentanet that we are not oblivious to is that their team fighting is pretty insane regardless of like their weak start to the split. So if we can get an early snowball going into this game, we think we can really take it away from them. So going away from more 5v5 team fighting and going into like being able to play, get leads and translate it into our side lanes, that's what we're going for. The Kassadin should get heavily punished in the other game, and if she outscales us, then, well, he outscales us, then unlucky. But yeah, we should be able to punish.
It is what it is, absolutely, mate. Well, I wish you boys the best of luck, and we'll crack on with the game, mate.
Cheers, thank you. Have a good one.
Pretty much is as easy as that, would you say, Jubes? You know, if the Kassadin gets ahead, well, you do get that sometimes.
Yeah, the Tremor Sense just spot. Ooh, bit of a fat finger there.
Double flash, burnt just like that. As Akano then rocks up to the party and says, let's make this a fair 2v2. And as he burrows in and goes, maybe that's not the fight I'm after. Dashes away. There's Biopen for insurance. He flashes, stuns, slice, and dice, and good night.
That was just I mean, it's spade a spade, mechanical misplay, right? Kyosei, I think Panic used his chain in a direction where there was actually no target, and then he distorted away, and so he's pretty much used all of his burst already. Then Akano comes on in, uses the flash knock-up, and just really not able to stick. Yeah, it's just a bit of a head-scratcher. More questions than answers, I guess.
For sure, mate. And it's a bit of a cast of curse, right, after having a coaching interview and talking about pretty much those key points in particular, and then the absolute inverse happens. So,
yeah,
not going to be happy about that start whatsoever, I guarantee. And Biopanther, once again, proving to be a man on a mission where he will sacrifice his own lane state to guarantee success is found elsewhere, and that does mean that now Chaz, a kill and an assist on the Kassadin.
Yeah, but he didn't even really sacrifice anything. Like, he burnt his TP, so that's, I guess, going to be rough when Safa does decide to teleport back to lane, if he does. Like, if... Hold the thought.
Looking, trying to fix this lane. It's going to be a 2v1. No TPs to back him up this time around, however. Going to be locked in place, going to be rooted, and going to be taken down for a swift kill here by Kyosei.
And this is how you lose the matchup on Kassadin, right? So it is a Kassadin counter pick, but it is a counter pick once you get the mobility, because the chains no longer land, you're no longer able to get CC'd, but you can kind of lose the lane and give LeBlanc a little bit of a snowball early on. Pentanet have done a very good job in bridging that gap, because they did pick up or win the 2v2.
Oh.
Yeah, if that lands, he's in actually a little bit of trouble.
It certainly was. Very good timing there to quickly respond.
But again, we were talking about this top side of the map. Black Panther didn't lose too much for the TP in terms of minions and EXP, but now where it gets a little bit dicey, because Sapper's going to TP, push this wave into turret, get a little EXP lead, get a little bit of a CS lead. Has the boots as well, the tier 2 boots. So might actually see Safa fare pretty well into this lane. Pabu doing the right thing here too, by the way. Helping Kassadin push this wave into turret, get it to bounce back. And he's just going to really help Chaz get to level 6 safely.
Trying to help that lane state right now, so looking for the all-in onto Decoy. He's burning the Ignite. It's there, and Floppy picks up the kill. And a straight bot lane 2v2. Now Predif looking for the kill. No way. He doesn't get it. He committed everything and more, Juves, and he falls on down. And now it's a cross-map disadvantage where Gravitas have really risen up to the situation.
There's just so much to break down and digest here. And first, I will just start off by saying Gravitas glory. I mean, that's the caster curse, right? I talk about... No, hang on. I talk about the Gravitas bot lane being I mean, arguably the weaker of the two bot lanes, like in the league in general. We're not really seeing them have those big pop-off performances. And they go and do that to Praedith and Decoy, but we're getting the replay that we didn't see here. So Pabu was trying to break the freeze for Chaz. Not level 6, no summoner spells. This is why it's so greedy to pick the Kassadin counter pick, because of instances like this. Pabu ends up falling down. Now their mid 2v2 is getting quite scary, right? Like Kyosei, little bit of a CS lead, little bit of an EXP lead, Akano, couple assists, but the main thing for me is this bot lane.
Yeah. The fact that he flash cleansed to guarantee that he could try and get the rend off, and it wasn't enough for the killing blow, falls on down. Sure, it's Floppy that picks up the double kill. That's the best case scenario if you're a Pentanet fan, but that's a cross-map play, two at once, and Gravitas quite clearly identifying, okay, we need to get ourselves back into it, and then making it work.
And he's there again to break the freeze. Like, that's so much EXP being stolen from Chaz. Like, he's able to ding 6 now, that's fine, but, you know, it's not ideal. It's not ideal because Kassadin as a champion, like, arguably scales... levels are just as important as the items, right? Because you need that level 16. Like, that's the holy grail. And total experience graph pulled up here. Like, Chaz is a lower level, or in total experience rather, than his jungler.
Yeah.
And like, this counter pick, again, it's going to get better for Chaz. Like, it's not doom and gloom. Like, the matchup is very good for Kassadin, but it's at a point right now where Kyosei is thriving. And this LeBlanc, like, you know, 1 or 2 more picks, 1 or 2 more kills may start to slowly take over this game. And you don't really have the means to shut down LeBlanc. Like, you don't have hard CC. You don't have point and click CC. It's the Renekton, and Renekton's not going to be there all the time.
Yeah, certainly aren't. And you're sort of guaranteeing then on the fact of maybe even Decoy landing a hook or a flay, right? Which is far easier said than done.
Yeah, right?
Kyosei well and truly back into the driving seat of this one, and as a result of that trading pattern we just saw on your screen, he's going to find himself with a fairly healthy CS advantage up as well. Up by 14, able to crash this wave in. Once again, Pabu has to hover mid lane. The route connects.
Yeah.
Decoy pops his head into mid lane, but Akano's doing such a good job of being respectful of where Pabu is, but getting stuff done on the map elsewhere too.
Yeah, and this is just very good control from Kyosei. This is very good discipline management, if you will, right? Like, he's able to push the limit enough so that it causes a 3-man rotation into the mid lane, right? And this is very good tracking from Akano too. And this is honestly, regardless of result, I know it's only 8 minutes, 9 minutes, but this is the evolution of Gravitas. Like, they're doing this to a Pentanet roster, right?
Yeah.
They're counter jungling together, they're invading together as a 3-man, and this invade from Safa is such a good one because he actually doesn't lose anything. His lane's slow pushing into him, but now he needs a little bit of discipline to not die to the gank that's being pinged out.
They've got to be careful bot lane again. Juice once again it's Decoy that gets jumped upon. He's been locked in place, stunned. As the Fates call, as the exhaust connected with Praedith too. Summoner's being burnt, but it's still Pentanet in the recipient of the pain and punishment.
Yeah, and this just feels a good trade here from Kyosei as well. This just feels so bad. Like, when you're playing Xin Zhao, there's different types of junglers, right? Like, when you're playing full clear, perma-farm junglers, you don't mind popping into a lane, helping them reset the wave, and may even just cut myself off here, Skimmy.
They've got to be so careful. Their flash is up in like 10 seconds, but it's 10 seconds too late. Because they might just fall down again. The Brom passive connects. Gravitas find another kill. Akano, a man on a mission.
Yeah, you love to see summoner spells being timed to the second. Like, that is some high-level stuff, right? Being able to make that play on literally what was probably a 3-second window when you see Floppy flash in for the auto attack. So, again, nice little pick up there. Rek'Sai is starting to pay dividends.
Well, this is a bit of a growing concern now. As we mentioned from the drafting phase, you're going to be picking this bot lane for Pentanet to win lane. Pentanet have not been finding the most success in laning phase so far, but we've always been able to bank on them doing well in the team fights. But coming into the team fights like this right now, we've got an insanely strong bot lane duo. It's going to be far easier said than done.
And what I like here from Kiyose is, like, again, he's not playing for the solo kill. Like, a lot of LeBlancs would probably be inting their lead away, trying to dive Chaz, or really get him down to a point where he's lethal. But Kiyose is just taking the time to take free resets, get vision on the map. Like, he's creating enough pressure that Decoy has to leave lane and can't really focus on winning his own. Same with Pabu. And important to note, Pabu's actually opted in just full tank.
Yeah.
This is a build that I've seen, so it's not like he's not, you know, in a hole where he's feeling he needs to do this. But you have to imagine, like, if he had a few kills to his name and a few more assists, he would have opted in for a more offensive route. But I think with current game state, he's not feeling too comfortable being, you know, that guy.
Yeah, and we've seen it a few times, right? You know, when it's not going your way, you can't afford to go through the Eclipse or the Gore Drink. You're literally picking this up and hoping for a GA and saying, well, if my ult expires, I've pretty much done my job. I'm looking to try and, you know, be a bit of a disruptive champion, be a bit of a nuisance. And so much resources have been invested in towards Chaz to make sure that they have that late game power, because elsewhere on the map, bar maybe top lane, it doesn't seem to really be going Pentanet's way.
No, but Chaz has also done a very good job to maintain the deficit, right? You know, this is not... Oh, nice ward in lane there, so they've spotted this one out, and teleports up for Biopanther, so this is a possible TP angle for him.
He's holding it. If you look at the minimap right now, now he's going to come in looking for it. Pablo on the hunt as well. Double TP being respected. Herald going to get summoned as well. Everybody showing up in the bot lane. Everybody turning their attention on towards the Crocodile Hunter, looking to try and take him out as he slice, dice, and power Qs to both, but Void Rush takes him out. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but Sapphire is an absolute monster. He's got himself 2 kills. He is the world ender. He will not be stunned and dragged into tower. And Gravitas win the trade, and now they're going to get some plates.
Yep. What's Kiyose doing here, though? Okay. Pops his head in, gets some plates. Overall, have to say that's worth it, right? For Gravitas, you know? Pick up a kill, pick up some turret plates. Gold leads ever so slightly growing in their favor.
Certainly is, Jubes. And absolutely, you know, I agree with your point about Chaz, but you're starting to say, well, if it's not working elsewhere, then we need to hope that this Cassidy can hit the side lanes, break away from the laning phase, look to try and get himself as close to 16, and then be a nuisance and rotate to match that of Kiyose's LeBlanc, because wherever those two show up, you know that there's going to be a fight and a kill to take place.
The other thing that we didn't touch on that I actually want to mention again is, like, we're seeing on-hit Varus, not lethality Varus, and I actually very much like that. So you think about Kassadin. Kassadin isn't going to have a Zhonya's for a very long time. Sure has the Merc Treads, but look at the CC, right? Like, if Varus chains land, or LeBlanc chains, or Braum tag into Braum ultimate, plus the passive proc that's going to be ever so prevalent because it is an on-hit Varus, so the attack speed's going to be there, then the game is actually going to be so hard for Chaz to play, and we already saw how hard it is for Biopanther, right? He teleported on in, and he had to get out of dodge. I mean, Akano did fall down because he used his ultimate to get into the backline, but
yeah.
I mean, when you put all the pieces together, like, Gravitas' composition has ways of shutting down Pentanet. And I'm not sure, obviously, you know, Pentanet being a team with such good individual qualities, but I'm not sure in terms of just in isolation, considering the outfits, the champions, if there's much Pentanet can do if they don't get those leads that they need.
Yeah, and I mean, we already mentioned from the analyst desk that we thought this was going to be Pentanet favored. It was definitely a big chance for Kiyose and the rest of Gravitas to cause a bit of an upset here as they go for the invade on towards blue buff. They're trying to dazzle and take out Chaz, which they do so successfully. Pabu doesn't want any part of it, hits the ultimate, and runs away.
I mean, again, just blue buff timer. Literally on blue buff timer, they're going to contest as a 3-man unit, and we might even see another fight here. Keep in mind, Xin Zhao has no ultimate, but Renekton is really strong here.
This feels very well disciplined from Gravitas right now, as you say, respecting the timers, playing around them beautifully so far. The Herald has been picked up. Now can they find a kill? Pub is the one to take out Akana, so the jungler has been punished, but can they find any more right now? Locked in the Dragon Pit, or sorry, the Herald Pit. Pentanet's still on the hunt, and well, Predator's been completely zoned away from this tower because Deco's up top.
Yeah, I mean, that's worth it, right? That is absolutely worth it for Gravitas. You know, they didn't need Akano to die there, but look at that. Even denying minions, even denying Krugs. This is exciting, Skimmy. I mean, like,
Yeah.
the thing we need to keep in mind too, right? We need to take stock of what patch we're playing on. We're on 11.13. So this second Rift Herald actually means a lot more than what you think.
Yep.
And I say a lot more, but that's probably an overemphasis. But you get bonus gold now from those side lane turrets, right? So this Rift Herald being on Sapphire, if he ever gets a minute, just like minute in the side lane where Renekton's not there, where Biopanther's not there, it is going to be an additional gold going over to Sapphire. And that wasn't there last patch. So again, we're going to have to see how this influences the game.
Certainly are, because we know what Sapphire can do when given the resources, and if all that gold is going to go his way without any assistance from any of his teammates, he's just going to make this individual matchup that much worse. Yes, down by 20 in CS, but up by 2 in kills. Very happy with how the current lane state works, and we talk about Renekton needing to get ahead early. Only one game played of it so far. Maybe this is the reason why, because Sapphire is able to scale so beautifully into the late game transition.
Well, he blinded Aatrox, right?
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure Aatrox was a blind, and Renekton was the counter pick, so... I mean, you expect him to fall behind in CS. Like, if Biopanther wants that matchup, you know, he should be the one being able to win that. And wow, look at the damage.
Even
That's the flash.
Even Flash still gets rooted. Rest of Gravitas coming on through to back him up. Now looking for another turret. Pensnet have yet to take a structure. The Herald has been summoned. Guarantees mid-tier 1 is gone. And then it's a beautiful transition to another dragon. The third of the game, Juves. This is a completely different Gravitas.
Definitely is. And this is third dragon, by the way, and like, Mountain's not a dragon, or not a soul, rather, to scoff at. Like, it actually gives you some decent stats, especially against the composition of Pentanet. They rely so heavily on, at least on top side of the map, they rely so heavily on base damage and base ratios, right? Think about the Xin Zhao that's building tank, the Renekton. Like, if you have that little shield, albeit not much, it's going to potentially be the difference between winning that dragon fight, winning the Elder fight, and not. Again, the thing I want to keep reminding you of, because it's been all hype for Gravitas, Chaz is being able to farm up a Storm.
Yeah.
He's really closed that deficit, and at this point in the game, in the side lane, is much stronger than the LeBlanc.
And that's why I wanted to actually change the conversation to, right? Because as much as we harp on how well Gravitas are doing, it is worth noting that Pentanet still have that composition with the side of a Kassadin. You know, we mentioned before that they're a team that are pretty regimented themselves, slowing down the tempo and identifying, okay, things weren't as rosy as we wanted to. How can we get ourselves back into this one? Is it as clear-cut, would you say, Juves, as saying 4 minutes soul point, you know, do or don't?
Look, Gravitas really, they're not on a timer right now because they have gotten these neutral objectives so early. And this is the beauty and I guess the bane of playing scaling. Now, USA, disciplined again, well done. But, you know, normally you might be panicking at this point, right? It's a Kassadin level, like Kassadin's only level 11 and only on 1 item. And whilst he's had a pretty decent freeze or slow push in this bot lane, and he's managing to just build this CS lead ever so slightly, you know, you have to consider that this dragon's going to be spawning soon. And once Soul goes down, again, Kassadin's not going to be level 16 unless something happens. So the ball is really in Gravitas' court. Just to play this game slowly, set up vision around these dragons, deny vision, because again, no one on the side of Pentanet can really face check. And this is where Gravitas' composition really thrives. How do you face check into what is a Braum? Ooh. That's a lot of damage.
Certainly is. Riftwalk and a Flash. 2 very mobile mages in the mid lane. And that's what happens when Kyose's filling himself.
Yeah, I mean, hang on a minute. Safa, this is where you got to be disciplined.
Yeah, pressure elsewhere as well, right? This is Pentanet looking to try and answer back. They'll find their first turret of the game. Top lane finally breaks. 3 members of Pentanet in the area, and they're basically looking to try and extract, you'd imagine, as much value, gold, and tempo they can before that inevitable soul point fight.
But it's veteran Pentanet, right? You know, feeling pressure on one side of the map, but able to, you know, open up a window of opportunity on the other side. So take the turret down. Biopanther does look like the win condition, at least for the interim for Pentanet, yeah? So, you know, he's got a significant CS lead now. He's got the 1 item completed. Chaz is just okay sitting in the side lane at the moment. But now it's this trade of freezes. If we can pan to Kyose on LeBlanc, I believe he's just sitting on a freeze, not much happening. A lot of I think Gravitas and Pentanet have just been watching a lot of LS VODs.
Yeah, seems to be one of the most outspoken on the topic, right? So definitely looking to try and take a bit of a note out of his book and deny XP, deny gold, and really force Chaz to go elsewhere, group up when he doesn't really want to. Once again, babysitter Pabu is here to back him up, and if need be, shove that wave in.
And Kyosei's got to know, he knows something's up, right? Because there's no way Chaz's going to walk up to that lane alone. One thing I just wanted to shout out quickly is Rusty has this thing in Twitch chat where whenever a Kayle is playing or a Kassadin, he's consistently typing 11 out of 16.
Yes.
12 out of 16. And he just keeps count. He keeps count because potentially there's a point in that game where it's all but over.
Yeah, he's a servant of the people, isn't he? Doing the best job.
But again, it's not... Gravitas did a good job in generating their lead, but Pentanet have done a very good job in making sure they haven't bled.
Yeah.
Right? They've kept within touching distance. It is only about 1k gold lead. Soul is spawning shortly. And again, I'm pretty sure Pentanet may even be happy to just give Soul.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not doom and gloom as we've been making it out to be, right? It is, as you say, just only a 1k lead. Let's talk about it, right? So if you're looking to try and sacrifice the Mountain Soul, sure, a lot of that burst that Pentanet have their way is going to then be denied. And as you mentioned, with a lot of the tanky nature, base stats become that much more desirable. But are they more interested in stalling out another 5 minutes and just playing for an Elder Flip?
It doesn't look like they want to contest. I guess they are now. They're posturing. But again, we talked about it. Look how hard it is for them to face check. Yeah. Because if Pabu face checks, he doesn't have enough to stop the LeBlanc burst, right? Then if Decoy face checks, it's a Kalista ulti that has to come on through. So your only option is Renekton. Chains miss.
There they come looking for it, forcing the members of Gravitas back deep
Sapphire's
into the
TP.
river. Sapphire's very deep TP into the enemy, but they've spotted him out. They might just be able to pick him up, at least get a few cooldowns thrown his way.
Yeah, I don't like this from Pentanet. Sorry, Gravitas. They're just opting in for a straight front to back. And you can see here already.
Sapphire's jumps in, going to pop that world ender, looking to try and life leech as much as he can. Goes golden for the meantime. Backline attention has been found, but that means that it's going to be Varus that finds himself a kill. Kyosei gets a double. Gravitas showing just how strong they are, just how dominant they've been in these skirmishes, and you will not contest this dragon. That soul belongs to us.
That's an absolute wipe. And I mean, I thought that was looking quite bad for Gravitas, looking a little bit fishy, but Sapphire hitting Q2, Q3 in the backline, getting all that healing, using the Gore Drinker, survived for so long, and the backline threats of Kyosei and Tomashen are just too strong. They absolutely melted Pabu. That Xin Zhao build in hindsight, really not offering much tank stats for him. Kyosei just sending him to the Shadow Realm, and that's a Baron being picked up by this Gravitas squad, as well as potentially the Soul.
Certainly is Christmas for Gravitas right now. They win the fight, they'll get both major objectives and acquire all the power in the world. Once Akana finishes this one off, it's going to be a powerful recall of all the items that they can acquire and look to try and put a bow on it.
So watch Sapphire here. I mean, I thought he's as good as dead. Double healing, and then Pabu just gets one shot on the back end. Not sure where Renekton went either, but he's as good as dead, and Praetor really can't auto-attack anyone in that team fight.
Yeah.
It just a really well-executed team fight, but even better was the setup from Gravitas. Like, they were there waiting for that dragon on spawn. They had all the lanes that they needed to pushed in. They had mid lane priority, and it was just a matter of Pentanet face-checking, and if you have all the vision and you're face-checking, the team fight is so much harder for you to play out.
Shot caller Sapphire on duty again here.
Yeah, I said, he's probably their most improved player, but it's hard to argue. Like, Thomas Shen and Floppy have just stepped up big time this game. I can't remember a game, and potentially it's because Thomas Shen is actually off Ashe duty.
Yeah.
Like, he plays Ashe so much for this outfit, and I don't think Ashe is a point in the meta where you want to be picking it. But if you need to, I guess, fill a role or do a job or be weak side, sure, why not? But, I mean, if you can play Varus like this and they can lane like they have lane today, then, you know, maybe they're making a statement for, hey, boss, maybe we're strong side bot lane from now on.
Yeah, he raised a good point. He's played 3 games of Ashe so far, the most out of anybody in the league. Not many others have decided that it's a champion to really get too excited about.
I mean, and if we're being critical whilst these turrets fall down, I think it's a little bit of a negative way, the way that Pentanet have played this game, right? Especially considering they won that early 2v2, and then they kind of just fell back and sat on their morals and waited almost for the Chaz ticking time bomb, which is 16, but it's just so far away.
Yeah, he's very close to level 14, has just collected his own turret bot side, now needs to recall, now needs to group up for another team fight. The Baron's still up and available for another whole minute.
Yeah.
Pentanet have to put on a very impressive base defense now.
They should be playing a 4-1 because there's no hard engage for Pentanet, right? There's no threat of them getting onto the back line of Gravitas. It would be criminal if Decoy landed a hook and started a fight that way. So they should feel comfortable having Kyosei sit in the mid lane and just hover these lanes. Honestly, fling a Varus ult. Get them off the tower, take turret. This turret should not be standing.
Survives for the meantime. There's a cannon that has been inspired in the mid lane. That's what Kyosei is holding on to for the meantime, getting that down to 50%. Another wave crashing top side, syncing up the waves quite beautifully here.
Even that soul, even if it's not much, it just looks like a lot.
Safa looking to try and be the initiating target once again. He's got the ultimate ramping, he's got the gore drink, the self-sustain, but this time no stopwatch. They might be a little bit more vulnerable to falling on down. The job and the damage has been done. That's one inhib gone and a second open. And Juve's 3 minutes to look forward to for a potential Elder as Gravitas have a 7k gold lead.
7k gold lead. I mean, that's, we talked about maybe it wasn't a big enough gold lead.
Came out of nowhere.
Well, I mean, we're at a point now where that's definitely a big enough gold lead. Like even a 7k, even Kassadin hitting level 16 with the composition that Gravitas had, it's not enough. It's just, it's not enough because he's going to rift walk in and he's just going to get perma CC'd and he's going to die. And then there's no threat coming from anywhere else. Like Pabu's ship for being relevant in this game has sailed, right? You can almost ignore that champion now. Much of the same. I guess Panther he's a little more meaty. Can probably still offer a little bit of a threat on the back line of Gravitas if he can even find access. But if you're saying, we're gonna park ourselves in that river, we're gonna wait till Elder Dragon spawns, wait till the Baron buff spawns, and we're just gonna play that front to back team fight. It's hard to find a realm in which Pentanet do win.
But they do have that never say die attitude, so they'll be searching for that moment to try and get themselves back into the swine. And it sounds boring and it sounds repetitive, but we do still look towards Chaz. Level 14, still waiting for 16, but can Pentanet stall the game out for that long? Right, we've seen Gravitas have these games that last 40, 45 minutes, and even Sapphire, I believe, said, we're just not familiar with the situation, when we've got these massive leads, how to close things out. Well, will they fall victim to those same emotions here tonight?
And that was going to be my next question, right, for you. It's how do they hold their nerves? Because a few times I think they could have pushed the limits a little bit, potentially broken top turret with first Baron, broken mid turret with first Baron, but I think they were a little more reserved, a little hesitant, and it's like a bit of a surreal feeling for them, right?
Sure.
Are they going to take down the MSI representatives?
It's always an interesting talking point as to what risks you're willing to take, and if you're not too comfortable saying, well, we're in such a commanding victory, we don't need to do anything too crazy just yet. We know that the opposition are on the back foot. As you've said, the ship has sailed.
Like as a Varus here, them walking up to the minion wave, I guess with Elder Dragon spawning, this makes more sense to just keep that cooldown. But I would make the argument that even just throwing the Varus ulti onto Pabu there and trading Pabu's ultimate for the Varus ultimate, I would argue would be worth it. Because Pabu's like, in essence, sole frontline, because Panther doesn't want to be doing having a traditional front to back in a Braum. Like he wants to find an avenue to flank.
Yeah.
But if Pabu has no ultimate, like he can't ever walk up. Like he's just dead. There's no durability, no survivability, there's nothing. So if you can trade ults at a point where you're in a lead like that, and there's no real threat coming out of Kassadin at the moment, then I don't see why you wouldn't, but maybe it's as good for the pick here. But this is where it gets dicey, because this is just a burger flip on the Elder.
Certainly is. The Elder has spawned. Level 15 is there for Chaz. He needs a little bit more time, to try and get that Ceres Embrace. But Gravitas will not allow that. Kyosei just taunting from afar, looking to try and remove somebody from the equation straight away. Everybody is here.
So Kyosei needs to look for that backline. Yep.
Good damage onto Pabu. Already down to 50.
So what Kyosei just needs to find that backline there. Play for the disrupt.
Chaz
because
is back.
When you're playing LeBlanc in these situations, you're actually not playing for the kill. You're playing for the poke. It's funny to say that, right? As a champion with LeBlanc. But they've just started it.
Yeah, as soon as I see Chaz back in the base, he does have TP, but he has to respond to all those supers, looking to try and crash the game. He's looking for the poke, but he'll look for the execute too. Fate School comes out, Decoy goes the wrong way, but still somehow survives. Glacial Fissure locks them in place, and here comes the Void Rush, and there's a damage delete from Meccano, pouncing upon the enemy support player. Looking for a kill, forget Yale to go for the fight and go for the game-ending play. Praetor does find a kill, he takes out the jungler, but it is Kiyose that is just finding reset after reset. Praetor sidesteps, but not for much longer. Gravitas are swarming the opposition with numbers, with damage, and just outright confidence, and will finally get themselves an ace to end this game.
That's a statement game, and that's an absolute gravitas glory coming out of this lineup. Oh, it's such a good performance too, because it wasn't all, you know, smooth sailing. It had a little bit of controversy. They had a little bit of adversity that they needed to get through. Like, that early game was an absolute disaster for them. But credit to them, they played this game, you know, besides that, I'd say to a T, almost to perfection, the way they've closed this one out.
Beautifully executed here from Gravitas. A much quicker game by their accounts, and up against a very strong opposition as well. And Juves, going into this one, if they got the victory, that meant they would be tied with Pensnet, but they have the head-to-head because they've beaten Peace.
So, yeah, Gravitas actually climbed Pentanet on the table now. So, back to the drawing board for Pentanet, and Gravitas, maybe not necessarily back to the drawing board, but can we double down on what we've been doing? Can we really accelerate, I guess, the lessons that we've learned? Because if this is what Gravitas look like at the end of the first, I guess, week or into first Super Week, they're going to be a scary outfit in this trajectory for the weeks to come.
Certainly is, and as we're welcome back, Mac, into this one. Look, I'll take back my words, right? All of us were going for Pentanet saying, how would they not win, right? They seem to be the better team fundamentally, but Gravitas are coming back in time and time again and just showing up and saying, we want the playoffs. And it doesn't look like a too unreal expectation now.
This is me expressing my disappointment with Twitch chat. I said, give me the underdog pick. I said, make it happen. And you didn't make it happen. And I've got another prediction wrong. And whose fault is it? I don't know. But there was a guy in Twitch chat who said he'd get a tattoo of me on his bum if Pentanet won. And Pentanet didn't win. So I don't get to be a tattoo. And now I'm very disappointed about that. But all that said, Gravitas, congratulations. Certainly working hard for that W. I took a few notes here. So Rek'Sai, Gank God, Akano doing God's work in the jungle, really setting Gravitas up for success early on in the game. So was this another game where Praetor got bot gap? Just wanted to question that one quickly because I thought he was
this play right
shade.
here, Mac, this looks like one of those kind of like GG go next moments, right? If this is a solo queue game, when you lose the lane like this, you're thinking, okay, well, I played for the lane, I've lost the lane, cool, next.
You have, it's not even that you lost, like you have winning lane. Like Thresh lanes well into Braum, and then like Kallista's, you know, lane kingdom champ. And you lost.
I got another note here too. So Pabu not only got locked out of his house today, he also got locked out of the jungle and the game. And I had a note, you know, Pentanet back foot angle, seeing if they could maybe fight from behind, and then also, I think it was just after this here, where Safa, again, pulling off one of these plays where he is just unkillable. You watch his health bar, and it goes down within an inch of his life multiple times in the fight, and you can see that's exactly why so many people focus him. But then he's just right back up again over and over and over and over. And it's just so hard to watch because, you know, he's still got that GA, and he didn't even have to... Oh, he did actually pop it this time. But, again, it was just the winning factor. So Aatrox just seems to be his... Soul champ, I guess.
He just feels like one of those leaders, right? One of those leaders that says, look, you know, do as I say and I'll go into battle with you, because he's clearly making shot calls and not afraid to get himself and his hands dirty. You know, there's definitely times you're saying, oh, go do this, go do that, but he's leading the line and doing so in such a commanding fashion as well, Juves.
Like, we don't know who made the calls or made the decisions, but the biggest thing for me is 2 times in that game, they contested 2 blue buff respawns, and they were able to pick up a couple kills, deny the blue buff from Chaz and Pabu, and just get, you know, that kill that your mid lane assassin needs to snowball. So it was honestly just a really well-constructed game plan, and something that, again, probably a broken record, but I'm going to say it because I don't care, the evolution of what this team is and what this team was.
Yeah, my favorite part for me, Mac, was the fact that they went for the bot lane gank, and literally Praetor and Decoy had their flash up in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you've got such discipline and understanding of timings and using it to actually empower plays.
Yeah, that's something I don't think I'll ever be as much of a Gravitas glory person to time, you know, the enemy's flashes that much. So that's you know, next level. That's next level gameplay, and Gravitas really just pulling out all the stops to get another W on the board, and now will tie themselves with Peace, Order, and Pentanet there at 4-2. Oh, well, 4-3 and 4-3 for Pentanet. And we do have that final game of the day coming up, which will separate two of those teams, of course. That is going to be Peace and Order. But before we get there, look, so much to talk about, and we do have another head to bring back onto the panel here. That head, of course, is Nat T's head, and I'd love to question her about what you thought of that one.
Honestly, so normally when I'm watching a game, I'll note certain things down so I remind myself in the interview something to ask the players about. That game was so good, my page is so blank. I was just so invested in the game and where it was going. I honestly only have about 3 lines of notes written, so that's what I thought of that game. It was absolutely insane. I loved it every second.
There you go. And you do have a winner down on the sidelines with you. Who is that winner today?
I'm going to be joined by the one and only, the very Thomas Shen. I love it. Congratulations on the win. How are you feeling? You took down Pentanet.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. Look, we might go to Worlds at this rate.
I love the confidence. You're like, look, Pentanet, why stop there? We may as well just take it all the way to Worlds. I want to start all the way at the beginning, though. That draft, were you guys always going to pick the Aatrox LeBlanc angle no matter what, or was it just something that worked really well?
Look, when my coach said to me we're picking Varus LeBlanc, the first 2 picks, I felt like they were actually trolling, but I don't know. They're just like 5F draft god.
Yeah, at this rate, you can't question the drafting ever again after I got you that win. But you guys are also amazing at teamwork, right? We've seen an absolute progression from you guys. How is it working and how has this come about? You guys are doing invades, you guys are turning at the same time. Why is the team working so well together? What's changed?
I think it's like everyone really wants to win. So we're putting like a lot of work to actually get to this point. It's not like overnight we just became so good. Like, we were still losing like 2 weeks ago to a lot of teams, and yeah, I think like slowly it's coming together.
Who was doing a lot of the shot calling in that like game as well?
That game? I think it was Safa and Akane, because Akane was like in control of the game because he was playing Rek'Sai. Yeah, Chaz, he ego picked the Kassadin, I don't know why, and then bot lane also like ego picked the Kalista fresh. They thought like they could 2v2 us like 5 minutes in, and then they just got rolled.
Yeah, you guys had a stellar performance. The last question I want to ask though is, do you think that game is enough for Gravitas to no longer be called the backdoor team?
I guess, I mean, sometimes our late game is still very messy, so we'll try to clean it up.
Well, I would, if I was in your position, I'd say yes, definitely. That was a stellar performance. You guys won it without a backdoor. You absolutely just kind of put Pentanet in their place. And look, congratulations again on the win. You guys have to be very proud with that one.
Yeah, thank you.
I loved the flex introduction. So now I too am a huge fan of Thomas Shen. So beautifully done, beautifully delivered. And speaking of delivered, the player that delivered is going to be the big man up the top. It's Safa again with a stellar performance there over on the Aatrox. 4 kills, no deaths, and 7 assists with 68% kill participation. Pretty ridiculous damage share there and 11 wards placed. But again, you know, up in the top lane, he is just causing some bloody chaos, Skimmy.
Certainly is. I mean, we talk about the fact that he plays the Camille when given the opportunity. He's making that look good in terms of rocking up to team fights and delivering. Delivers here, delivers in the lanes, delivers everywhere. I mean, literally, if you ban some of his champions away, he'll just find another way to try and get himself back into the game. And Aatrox, a pick from week 1 that came back to haunt them. And whilst it wasn't a case of the minions having to end the game for them in a late game banger, he still was that that raid boss that was just impossible to take down.
Was that pose the Thanos, you know, the click pose? Is that what he was doing?
Snap, the Thanos
yeah,
snap?
I'll say so, hey.
Could it be?
Yeah, okay,
He's like, all
it
these
was.
teams going undefeated? Nah.
Boom. And he's certainly, you know, changing the world up in the top lane. So $100 DoorDash voucher for him. If you guys are hungry, if you are hungry with a G, Exclamation DoorDash in chat. And also, we're going to a break, so exclamation playlist in chat to have a look at all the beautiful songs we have from Warner. Enjoy this one. It's Late at Night by Roddy Ricch. Before we get into the final match of the day, Peace and Order coming up just after the break.
Started it.
Yeah, as soon as I see Chaz back in the base, he does have TP, but he has to respond to all those supers looking to try and crash the game. He's looking for the poke, but he'll look for the execute too. Fate School comes out. Decoy goes the wrong way, but still somehow survives. Glacial Fissure locks them in place, and here comes the Void Rush. And there's the damage elite from Meccano pouncing upon the enemy support player. Looking for a kill. Forget Yale to go for the fight and go for the game-ending play. Predator does find a kill. He takes out the jungler, but it is Kiyose that is just finding reset after reset. Predator sidesteps,